TSA decided to throw us a curveball and update their rules. Again, we're talking about changes that could mean the difference between breezing through security and getting stuck in line while your flight boards without you. Seriously, nobody wants to be that person. Let's do this! Alright, first up, let's talk about the tech. Remember those ancient times when we had to unpack our laptops like it was some sacred ritual? Well, the TSA is apparently trying to join us in the 21st century with these new AI-powered scanners. They're supposed to be able to see through everything in your bag, meaning your laptop, your liquids, all that good stuff. It can all stay put. Sounds like a dream, right? But here's the catch. Not every airport has these magical scanners yet. So before you rock up to the airport thinking you're about to live in a tech utopia, do yourself a favor and check if your airport is on the cool kids list. Okay, so you know the 311 rule, right? The one where your entire toiletry bag has to fit into those tiny little Ziploc baggies? Yeah, that one. Well, get ready for a plot twist. The TSA is still clinging onto this rule like it's their firstborn, but there's a glimmer of hope. Some airports, and again, it's a big some, are now rocking these fancy new CT scanners. Think of it like an X-ray machine on steroids. With these bad boys, you might be able to get away with bringing slightly larger liquids. But before you go celebrating like you've won the lottery, there are still rules. The liquids have to be in these special TSA-approved containers. Alright, let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart: protein powder. I mean, a guy's got to get his gains in even when he's traveling, right? But apparently the TSA isn't as enthusiastic about protein powder as I am. Word on the street is, they're cracking down on powdered substances. If it's over 12 ounces, there's a good chance it's going to get flagged for extra screening. Listen, we all love our gadgets, our phones, our laptops, our cameras. They're basically extensions of ourselves these days, right? And to keep those bad boys juiced up on the go, most of us rely on battery packs. But guess what? The TSA has decided to make our lives just a little bit harder with some new rules about these portable powerhouses. So, the good news is you can still bring them in your carry-on. That's a win, right? But you knew there was going to be a but. There are some serious limitations on the size and type of battery you can bring. Basically, if your battery pack is over 100 watt-hours, you're going to need special permission from the airline. So before you pack that monster battery pack that could jumpstart a small car, check the rules and maybe consider downsizing. Let's be real. Airport food is basically a rip-off. I mean, who wants to pay $10 for a soggy sandwich that tastes like sadness? So it's only natural to want to pack your own snacks. The good news is, solid foods are generally cool. So pack those sandwiches, chips, protein bars, whatever keeps you fueled up and ready to conquer that travel day. But when it comes to liquids and gels, things get a little trickier. Remember that magical 311 rule we talked about? Yeah, it applies to food too. Okay, let's talk about something that actually makes airport security a little less painful. TSA pre-check. If you haven't signed up for this yet, seriously, what are you waiting for? It's like the VIP line for airport security. No more awkwardly stripping down to your socks and belt. No more frantically unpacking your entire life at the security checkpoint. With pre-check, you get to keep your shoes on, your laptop in your bag, and your dignity intact. It's worth every penny to avoid the stress of regular security lines. Listen, when it comes to medication, we gotta stay on top of the rules. Nobody wants to be that person who gets their meds confiscated at security. So here's the deal. Prescription medications are good to go, even if they're over that dreaded 3.4-ounce liquid limit. But here's the catch. You gotta keep them in their original packaging, with the prescription label clearly visible. And it's always a good idea to declare your medications to the TSA agent when you're going through security. Alright, let's talk about smart luggage. You know, those futuristic suitcases with built-in chargers, GPS trackers, and enough tech to make a Silicon Valley exec drool? They sound pretty awesome, right? But before you invest in a suitcase that's smarter than you are, there are a few things you need to know. First up, batteries. Most smart luggage has lithium-ion batteries, which are the same kind that power our phones and laptops. And guess what? The TSA has some rules about those. If your smart luggage has a removable battery, you're good to go. Just take it out before you check your bag and carry it on with you. Listen, our furry friends are part of the family, and sometimes that means taking them on our adventures. But traveling with pets can be a whole other level of airport chaos, especially with the TSA's ever-changing rules. One of the newest additions to the TSA's pet policy is separate screening for pet food. Yep, you heard that right. That bag of kibble you carefully packed? It's getting its own trip through the X-ray machine, so make sure it's easily accessible in your carry-on, because you don't want to be digging through your bag for dog food, while a line of impatient travelers glares at you. But here's a glimmer of good news. Some airports are now offering express pet screening lines. These dedicated lines are designed to make the screening process smoother and less stressful for both you and your four-legged friend. Alright, let's talk about everyone's favorite travel companion, alcohol. I mean, a little mini bottle of something strong can make those long flights a little more bearable, right? But before you start packing your carry-on like a mobile bar cart, let's break down the TSA's rules on flying with booze. First things first, mini bottles are still allowed in your carry-on as long as they're 3.4 ounces or less and fit snugly in your quart-sized baggie of liquids. But remember, just because you can bring it doesn't mean you can drink it on the plane. Cracking open your own stash is a big no-no and could land you in some serious hot water with the flight attendants. Listen, we all want to feel safe when we're traveling, especially in unfamiliar places. But when it comes to self-defense items, the TSA's stance is pretty clear. Don't even think about bringing them in your carry-on. Pepper spray, stun guns, even those self-defense keychains, they're all a big no-go. The TSA sees these items as potential security threats and won't hesitate to confiscate them if you try to sneak them through. Alright, vapors, listen up. The TSA's rules about e-cigarettes and vaping devices can be a little hazy, so let's clear the air. First things first. Yes, you can bring your vape on a plane, but you knew there was a but coming, right? There are some rules. First off, your vape has to travel in your carry-on. The TSA is super strict about batteries and checked luggage, and since most vapes have lithium-ion batteries, they're a no-go in the cargo hold. Look, I get it. Sometimes cash is king. But when you're flying, carrying large amounts of cash can raise some eyebrows with the TSA. Now, the TSA won't confiscate your hard-earned money, but they might flag you for additional questioning if you're carrying a suspicious amount. And by suspicious, I mean anything over $10,000. They're required to report large cash transactions to law enforcement. So don't be surprised if you get a few extra questions about your travel plans and the source of your funds. Alright, let's talk about something that's a little Big Brother-ish: facial recognition technology. Yep, you heard that right. Some airports are now using facial recognition software at security checkpoints to verify passengers' identities. The idea is to speed up the screening process and make it more secure. But let's be real. Not everyone is comfortable with the idea of their face being scanned and stored in a government database. And the good news is, you can opt out of facial recognition at most airports. Just be prepared for a slightly longer screening process, as TSA agents will need to manually verify your identity. Listen, we all love our gadgets. Our laptops, our cameras, our drones, they're our prized possessions. But when you're traveling, these expensive toys can become prime targets for theft or damage. So how do you keep your tech safe while you're on the go? First things first, never check your valuable electronics. Keep them in your carry-on, where you can keep a close eye on them. And when you're going through security, make sure your electronics are easily accessible. So, there you have it. The TSA's latest and greatest attempts to keep us on our toes. Look, I know airport security can be a pain, but the more you know about the rules, the smoother your travel experience will be. Did any of these new rules surprise you? Let me know in the comments below. Safe travels, everyone!